those of you familiar with Excel, the if function in Optuma works very much the same way in that it introduces decision making into the formula. So for example, you create a test, and then depending on the results of that test, if it's true, one value will be given, or if it's false, another value. So I'll show you how we can do that in Optuma. So on the screen here we've got a watch list with a couple of columns, one with the last value, another with the moving average value, and the true false showing whether the last price is above that moving average. Now let's say we just want to use whatever value is higher, either the last price or the moving average in a formula. So I'm going to click the plus new script column. I'm going to start off by creating a variable. So MA1 equals MA for the moving average, and I'm going to make this a 13 exponential on the close. Now we can start building the if statement. By default, if the test is true, then the value is 1, and if it's false, then the value is 0 if we don't define anything different. So I'll show you what that looks like, or how that works. So we'll do if, and then in the parentheses, if the closing price is greater than our variable MA1. Now I'm not going to define what that true or false value will be, because in this example I'll just click apply and we get 1 on zeros. So all the zeros match up where it's false in that other column, and 1 where it's true. Now we can go in and edit that by right clicking edit column, and now we can define the true false values. So instead of having 1 and 0, so I can have 2, 3, and then apply that. So 3 are false, 2 is true. Go back in and edit that again, and instead of having numbers or randomly assigned values, I can actually use the function. So I'm going to use the closing price. So if it's true, I'm going to use the close. If it's false, I'm going to use the moving average, MA1, which is our variable. And now we click apply, and in that column there you'll see it's now using whichever is the highest of those two columns. In the next example I'll show you how we can have 3 conditions. So I'll just drag this little notepad up here. So in let's say we want to assign a value of 1 where the RSI is above 65, 3 when it's below 35, and 2 when it's between those two values. So it's a nested if function. So again, we'll click on the plus to add the column, script column, and I'm going to create a variable for the RSI called R1 RSI, and we'll make it a 14 period and finish that off with a semicolon, and this is where we start the if. So the first condition is if R1 is greater than let's say 65. If that's true, then we'll give it a value of 1. But if it's not true, then we can create another if statement. So if R1 is less than 35, so if the first condition is false, then it will look for this condition. So if it's less than 35, we want to give that a value of 3. And if neither of those conditions are true, then we'll give it a value of 2. And you'll see there that the valid script, it's not a valid script, so I'm probably missing a bracket. So if I close that parentheses off, it's now valid, and I hit apply, and I'm now getting values of 2, 1, and 3, as you can see, depending on the value of that RSI. Now this last example I'm going to show you is where there's 4 results or possible results from the condition based on 2 moving averages. So in this watch list I've got 2 columns where true or false, whether the 20 period moving average or the 50 moving average is sloping up or not. So I want to assign a value of 1 where they're both sloping up, 2 where the 20 is sloping down and the 50 is sloping up, 3 for when the 20 is sloping up and the 50 is sloping down, and 4 when they are both sloping downwards. So if we add a column, new script column, and I've already saved this script as MA rank to make it a bit quicker. So I've assigned 2 variables, MA1 for the 20 and MA2 for the 50. And here's the all-important if condition. So if MA1 is up, i.e. the 20 period is up, it will then go to the next condition after the comma. So if MA2 is up, and then the first true condition is 1. So if the first part is true and this part is true, it's going to assign a value of 1. If the first part is true, so 20 is up and the 50 is down, i.e. false, then it will assign a value of 3. Now if the first part is false, it will skip the first if state, or the second if statement there, to jump to the third. So if MA20 is sloping down, i.e. false, it will look to the second moving average, and if that is up, then it will assign it 2, and if it's false, i.e. they're both sloping down, then it will assign a value of 4. So we can now apply that to the column, and you can see MA rank is now assigned that value depending on those moving averages. So we can line that up. 2 falses equals 4, false and a true is 2, 2 trues is 1. And we can tidy that column up. We can make it a number, get rid of the decimals, put it in the middle of the column, the alignment center. And what we can also do is group by this column. So I just right clicked on that, and now all the ones are grouped together, and in the top left there we can collapse the 4 groups. And now what we can do is right click in the gray bars there and go down to summary type, and we can choose count. So now we can see how many of the watch list are in each of those groups. So 45 out of the 100 or so I've got here have positive moving averages for those 2. So we can open up that chart, and I've on my toolbar I've got those 2 moving averages, so you can see they're both sloping up in that scenario. Now what we can also do is, instead of having a column, we can use something like a chart element, which we've seen on a previous video. We can assign click that there. So by default it's using the change, but I can use my MA rank, and that's assigned at a value of 1. And we can put that in a chart header. So as we scroll down, well, let me collapse that one, and looking the bottom group, as we click, then the element updates as well. So the if function, very powerful, can be quite complex, but especially when you're nesting if functions together, but very useful in assigning values based on any condition that you require.